Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yep.
Let's talk to Richard Miller. Richard is with the Cincinnati Day Lucky Dogs Browns Backers Club.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah,
automatically.
there it is.
Let's give you a chair just to even get you going in. There you go. You deserve that. Hi, Richard. How are you?
How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. You have to be feeling absolutely ecstatic, sitting there in the middle, in the heart of Who-What-ville down there on the river. And what a nice job the Browns did yesterday. You have to be the happiest guy in Hamilton County.
Well, actually, we're up here in Warren.
Oh,
but,
you're in Warren. Oh.
We're happy for all the counties. And I mean, you think about it, great day to be a Clevelander. The Indians make the playoffs. The Browns beat the Bengals. The Ravens and the hated Steelers lose. Brownie the Elf comes back. I mean, Can it be any better?
Where were you yesterday, and where was all the Browns backers yesterday, and kind of describe where you were?
Well, there were about 4 Browns backers clubs here in the greater Cincinnati area. We're based out of Mason, Ohio, and that's where Kings Island is. And we meet at a place aptly named the Lucky Dog Grill, where James and his staff take really good care of us. And we have great food, and they have a great tap selection. So yesterday we could drink our beer and not cry in it, so we were very happy people.
Were Bengals fans talking a lot of garbage to you? Because I know that, like, our corporate office is down in Cincinnati, and apparently Spastic Dave was taking a lot of heat last week. He's one of our bosses on the show.
The Grand
Spastic,
Poobah.
yeah, well, he's not, though. He's just Spastic Dave.
Okay.
All right, so Spastic Dave was taking a lot of heat last week from our corporate office down in Cincinnati that felt like they needed to talk garbage on the Browns, and I can't wait to hear them eat crow today. And I got to have a feeling you've got the same feeling, right?
Well, actually, I mean, it's almost worse than that. I was watching some of the shows last night, and Cincinnati fans have gotten to the point where they just think the Browns are such a non-entity that they just don't say anything. I mean, they walk in and think they're going to win. So last night, there was a lot of crying and gnashing of teeth on the television because it was like, hey, we should have walked all over these guys, and we didn't do it. And I thought, some of the things, I mean, they were all on Andy Dalton. I thought Andy Dalton did fine. I mean, the Browns' defense, the Browns' coverage was just good. And sometimes you just got to fess up and say, hey, you know what? It wasn't what your guys did. The other team just played better, and that's what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I thought the Bengals dropped a lot of balls there too, Richard. And also the Browns defense made some plays. I mean, Buster Screen had a great day yesterday. Joe Hayden locked in on A.J. Green. His largest reception was 16 yards, targeted 15 times, 7 catches. So you got to give a lot of credit to the Browns defense. But I agree with you. I mean, I thought Andy Dalton played a good game yesterday. It's just there were a lot of drops and a lot of key situations, especially in the fourth quarter when he's trying to bring these guys back. So I give the Browns defense a lot of credit, but at the same time, I don't think Andy Dalton should be taking any heat for what happened yesterday. They got dominated in First Energy Stadium.
Yeah, they really did. And, they showed a lot of times, they'd show the feed and they'd show like these aerial shots, and they'd sit there and put little X's on the Bengal receiver, and there's a Browns player just covering them everywhere. And, Dalton, they put some good pressure on him. Mingo had a phenomenal game, I thought.
Yeah, he did.
And then, of course, the other way, if we don't miss 2 field goals, it's even a bigger laugher than it was. So,
absolutely.
I think the bottom line is it wasn't that the Bengals played bad. I think the Browns, the last 2 games, just came out and played.
All right, Richard, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Wear your Browns gear with pride this week, and you can stick it to them ask them who is Day, because we have no idea who Day is. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Good job. Richard Miller joining in. He's a part of the Cincinnati Day Lucky Dogs Browns Backers Club. All right, back to Skype we go. Bill Duff, former Cleveland Brown, is joining us. And, boy, what a great day for the Browns yesterday, Bill. Your assessment of what they were able to pull off and your perspective as a former player.
Well, I'm a defensive guy, obviously, and watching yesterday was awesome. I don't know if you guys noticed front end, but dominating as far as the field and making Dalton have a lot of problems as far as the ball. There are a lot of drop balls on the angle side, but I think it's because the passes are rushed. Not as much that Dalton made back throws as he had to bring the ball.
All right, Bill, we're going to try to call you on the phone real quick because we're having trouble with the Skype line. I mean,
Yeah, Skype line's not.
and I don't know. There's internet problems all across the country right now because we had internet problems here, there, and everywhere. So, Bill, we're going to call you on the phone. We're going to get you back here in like 2 seconds, and we'll bring you back in because I really want to hear your perspective on the game rather than.
And you can call us too, 216-431-3820. We got a couple phone lines open if you want to chime in and talk about what happened yesterday and your thoughts on Thursday's game too, because the good news about today is you can celebrate the win today. There's that 24-hour rule or 48-hour rule if you're a
Victory
coach.
Monday, my friend.
Exactly, and then you can turn around, and it's one of the rare times that Andy and I get to kind of look ahead, because in a couple of days we'll be talking about Buffalo, and we will be as early as today because they're back to practice. Browns go back to work today. To them, it's a Wednesday already, and they're back getting ready for the Buffalo Bills, who come into town hot of a big win over the Ravens. So I think it's going to be a good football game. The Bills always play the Browns tough. This is always a good game, no matter whether they're playing in the snow or if they have dry conditions. This is always a pretty good game.
Well, you know, they've got to be feeling pretty good about that win over the Ravens yesterday. And for the Bills, this really isn't that far of a game. You know, it's like, you could almost bus over here and it would feel the same way as just going to a regular game. I mean, it's not that much farther than Toronto for those
I think
guys.
I think they do take the bus to this game. I don't think they fly into here. I think they have in the past.
I don't know. I think they fly. I think it's a rule.
3 hours.
We'll ask Bill Duff. Bill's back on the line with us. Hi, Bill. What's shaking? How you feeling? And now let's get your perspective on the game from yesterday. What'd you think of those Brownies?
I thought we looked great. I thought the defense looked awesome. I think, a lot of people were saying how they thought Dalton missed some targets and his receivers dropped them. But if you watch the front seven play from the Browns, because I'm a front seven guy, it was really the pressure on Dalton that made him get rid of the ball early or get out of the pocket. And, they harassed him all day long, which I thought was the key to the victory.
All right, Bill, this team, this is the perspective I really want from you, because as a former player, everybody gave up on this team after week 2 when they traded Trent Richardson. And you can see how the fans and the media go up and down so fast in this city. But for a guy that's been in that locker room before, what do situations like that do for you as a teammate, as a guy that everyone, Jaqual Jackson went in after the Ravens game and said, this is not acceptable. And he said, we are going to start winning, and we're going to start winning now. And sometimes I think when you have that negative energy on the outside, it rallies the team on the inside. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I played on teams that won and teams that lost professionally, but either way, you're all in the same foxhole. And, I don't know what happened with Richardson, but from what I heard just through the grapevine is that everyone was in the foxhole and he was sitting on the side with his headphones on. So getting a guy like that out of the equation, and then I thought McGahee looked awesome in the game. Throwing somebody like that into that, it makes the team re-energized, and it looked like the guys played together. I mean, you shouldn't be calling 3 guys out and saying these are the 3 guys, who won the football game for us. I always think that's taking a team effort and reducing it down to individual efforts. And, if you want to win, that's the wrong way to do it.
And, Bill, one of the big keys, too, it's nice to get a Talbot Rubin back. Phil Taylor obviously looks like he's already in midseason form because you had some changes yesterday with Billy Wynn being out. So some of your situational guys and your rotational guys were out, but they also got their starters back. But just talk about that, because I agree with you about they made Andy Dalton look really uncomfortable yesterday because he likes to step up, use that pocket, take his shots downfield. They took that away from him, and they really forced him to make quick decisions. But the guys on the outside, both sides, both corners played really, really well. But just talk about that pressure and just what a difference that can make for a team like the Bengals, who do like to take those shots downfield and can really spread the ball around.
Yeah, I mean, when you have corners who lock down, and, we didn't lock them down the whole game. They got open here and there. It really gives the defensive ends a chance to get up the field. And when the ends can get up the field, everything changes in the NFL. Your quarterback has to step up. He's got to roll out of the pocket if they decide to do a stunt. And there was a lot of stunting last night up front. So Dalton, he couldn't see what he wanted to see. The field wasn't open to him. And a part of a defensive lineman or a linebacker's job as they're coming is to get in his face. And I thought the defensive line, front seven, I couldn't speak higher of them the way they played that football game. Even though you may look at it and the stats, they say, well, some teams had 5 or 6 sacks and, that kind of stuff you have to forget about. Look at that number on the scoreboard. What did the Bengals score? That's how the defense played.
Two quick questions for you. It looks like Montario Hardesty is going to be released after the doctors clear him. You are a Tennessee guy. I had such great high hopes for him when he joined this team, and I thought that he would be able to give the Browns something a little bit different in the offensive backfield to try to somebody who can pick up yards quick and fast. What are your thoughts on Montario Hardesty and what's next for him?
You know, I think Montario is a great football player. He's had some injury problems, and nobody can stop that from happening. You know, it's what puts most of us out of football. But honestly, the system that I think Montario would be best in would be a Philadelphia-type system or something where he can be used more as a receiver out of the backfield than what he would be used as here. You know, he's more of a scat back, and he's got really, really good hands. And I think he'll be picked up. If not this season, you know, hopefully he'll get a shot next season. And, you know, that's all you can say about a guy who's been plagued by injuries.
All right, last question for you, and it's always interesting to get this perspective from a guy who played for the Browns and still lives here in Northeast Ohio. Peyton Manning is absolutely 100% ripping this league apart right now. I'm not sure if you, I know you guys were you guys roommates in college or?
No, I took Peyton on his recruiting visit. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we were captains on the '97 team. I know Peyton very well.
And your thoughts on what he's been able to do and bounce back from injury, because I don't care what team it is in the NFL, I think the road to the Super Bowl looks like it's going through Denver right now.
Spinal fusion.
Yes.
Look, if you're talking about one of the greatest football players, not even quarterbacks, but football players of all time, his name has to be in the equation. And you know, the fact that he's the head of the program out there and throwing the ball makes it even worse for everybody else. Peyton will not be denied, and that's what everyone has to understand about the guy. You know, I see all the documentaries and the reporters, and they want really the answer to the equation, what makes him so good. You can't answer it. Keep guessing, because the guy, he's done something that I don't think anyone else is going to be able to do in a really, really long time.
Bill, great conversation. Thankfully, hopefully we can talk to you again next week. But I really enjoyed the conversation and great perspective for us here on Dogs on the Run. Thank you, Bill.
All right, go Browns.
All right, there you go.
Thanks, Bill.
Bill Duff, former Browns player, went to Tennessee, spent some time in the Arena League. I mean, has done some movies. I mean, really cool guy to talk to. Still lives here and is a big part of Northeast Ohio. In fact, runs Powerhouse Gym out in Twinsburg. So if you get a chance, say hi to him out there as well. So thank you, Bill, very much. All right, let's go back to the phone lines, and it looks like we might be able to get Skype up here in a second, too. Craig Lindell, waiting for next year. Craig, I got to tell you what, if the Indians and Browns keep doing what they're doing right now, you may have to change the name of your website, my friend.
Man, wouldn't that be a great problem? I'm thinking about you today.
What are you thinking about?
Is this the most positive week, the most positive sports week that you've had since you've been on the air, on the radio?
I think for radio, for sure. There is no question about it. I don't think we've had a more positive week than perhaps when Jimmy Haslam bought the team. I think that was the next.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing I think we've had in the last 2 years. Craig, think about this. Since 2001, we haven't had back-to-back weekends where the Indians and Browns have both won consecutively 2 weeks in a row. And now think about the fact the Indians won 10 straight to get into the playoffs. That's why you have such great energy in this city right now. You combine that with the Browns, and you have an air of excitement that we haven't seen in this town since the Cavaliers made the NBA Finals. I think that's fair, don't you think, Craig?
Yeah, and what I'm excited about is, you know, we never take our site political, but Cleveland fans have been fighting like Republicans and Democrats. And now it's like, this is a reminder. A little bit of success is always a reminder that we're all Browns fans, we're all Tribe fans, we're all Cleveland fans. And it's just nice to finally have that reminder. It's been a long time coming, and we've been sniping each other for a long time.
That is a great perspective on this thing, because if you want to put it in the political text, you're 100% correct, and that's great. Is that what's on your site right now? Have you been talking about that, waitingfornextyear.com?
That's what I'll be writing about today. I haven't written it yet. I always kind of get these thoughts together. I throw them out on Twitter. I let people bounce them back, and now with you as well. But, man, I just finished killing this front office of the Browns. I killed them. I absolutely killed them. I still don't necessarily get on board with the Trent Richardson trade, but, man, short-term versus long-term, they've certainly gone out and been the beneficiary the last 2 weeks. It's been awesome.
Coach Sam said something last night on the Ford Sports Sunday that I've been saying for 2 weeks, and people are getting really upset with me for saying this. I wish that Brian Hoyer would have so much success this season that they can take those first-round picks next year and not have to draft a quarterback. I'm not saying that Brian Hoyer is the long-term answer, but in the short term, he has definitely come through, and the more he comes through, the less pressure I think there is on the Browns to feel like they need to use those first-round picks next year on the quarterback. And knock on wood, I hope that's what happens. I want success for Brian Hoyer, and I want the Browns not to have to draft a quarterback in the first round next year.